Color genes have evolved from rhodopsin, which is a black and white gene, to give blue cones, green cones, and red cones. The molecular data for this is pretty much indisputable. So this is one gene doing a new function. This is natural selection. This is certainly a new variety, and I think that color vision is a little more complex than black and white vision. You can see the same thing if you look at digestive enzymes and blood proteins. What's that?
Your example that you gave of the monkeys having different color vision certainly could be an example of loss of information, not necessarily gain of information. It appears to me like your evolutionary prejudice has led you to interpret any evidence as evidence for evolution, where it certainly could be that there's been a loss of genetic information. You assume because one can see 3 colors and one can see 2 colors, the one that has 3 has evolved higher than the one that had 2. Maybe they both had 3 at the beginning and one lost it for some reason. Darwin was certainly confused about the eye. He said to suppose that the eye could have been formed by natural selection seems absurd. And I'll be glad you mentioned in your letter about talking about the entire quote. I'd certainly be glad to do that. I forgot, I left the book at the church, but I've got it tonight if you want to see that. The eye is incredibly complex. Textbook says it formed over millions of years. I resent that. This textbook says you can better understand how the eye might have evolved if you can picture a series of changes. And what you just gave us was an imaginary picture of how it might have happened. That's not science.
In your seminar notebook, or at least in your website, you connect Darwin to a lot of racist tendencies. While we're talking about racism, what is the origin of the Southern Baptist denomination?
I have no idea. I am an independent, temperamental, fundamental Baptist. I am not a Southern Baptist. I don't know.
Well then, before we blame racism on Darwinism, perhaps you'd like to hear the following quotes from Richard Furman, president of the SBC in 1822. The right of holding slaves is clearly established in the Holy Scriptures, both by precept and example. Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist. For all slaveholders with whom I have ever met, the religious slaveholders are the worst. And after the end of the Civil War, Southern Methodists, Southern Baptists, and Southern Presbyterians all continue to denounce emancipation as contrary to the will of God, and none of them will acknowledge, nor do many even remember, that their religion arose from a theological defense of slavery. And finally, in 1960, Bob Jones, if you are against segregation and against racial separation, then you are against God Almighty. No nation has ever prospered or been blessed like the colored people in the South. So there's plenty of blame to pass around. Don't lump it on Darwin.
Do I respond to that? Question. Well, let's see. I'm still not Southern Baptist. That's all you quoted. Question. I asked you a second ago how natural selection could produce something new. I don't believe you answered that. I have to go back and watch the tape, see if I understand all that, but that, by my count, would put you out at 0 for 3. Is it possible that similarities in design that we observe, this is question number 11, between different animals prove a common creator instead of a common ancestor? Every time you see a biology textbook showing some similarities of design, like the forelimb of the animals or well, anything, they always attribute it as proof for evolution. What is wrong with the creationist position that says God created the animals and plants and they bring forth after their kind, and the common designer used a common theme, like Ford makes 4 tires on most of their vehicles because it's a good theme that works. Common designer argument.
Ready? Okay. It's possible, but not likely. If you want to posit a designer, posit a bad designer. This is a flounder, and it starts out as a nice symmetrical fish and ends up with its eyes being mushed all over on one side. That's terrific design. Next, please. This is choking. This is another example of great design. Our air passages and food passages cross in the back of the throat. This is a designer who plans, apparently, on 60,000 people a year dying of tracheal obstruction. And this is a designer who will create snoring and apnea in us older folks. Next, please. Snakes can do it just fine. So good design is possible. Next. And here's one for all you guys. This is the male reproductive system, the epitome of bad design. All of you 50 years and up are going to be coping with the fact that one day your prostate gland, poorly designed because it's got tubes running through it, is going to enlarge. This prostate gland is going to push back on the urinary bladder, and you're going to go get a prostate operation. That is really the ultimate of great design, wouldn't you say? Next, please. Design spills over into is someone a female or a male. And sometimes things go wrong because we are designed with both female and male systems in our bodies as embryos. Here's an example of something that can go wrong in design. These are 4 brothers. They had androgen insufficiency. Because their testosterone was unable to park anywhere in their bodies, they went on and developed the default or female body. So yeah, I'm all for, great design, and I haven't even started to talk about bad backs or giving birth or anything like that. If you could go back to 64, please, Bob. If we take time to consider biology, we come up with a bumbling and frivolous God. Organisms show stupid mistakes, dysfunctional design features, and odd arrangements and funny solutions are proofs of evolution.
I am very baffled by how the concept of bad design can be evidence against creation. I would like to see you invent a machine as a computer program. Let's take a computer program. You get a program that can make a copy of itself, and then that copy make a copy of itself, and then that copy make a copy of itself, after the 50,000th copy, and it still runs. I would say the original copy was a really good design. Now, I don't know what Adam was like. He lived to be 930 according to the Bible, and I doubt that he had prostate trouble. I think prostate trouble is a nutritional deficiency, and you can't blame that on bad design. I think an awful lot of people past 50 do not have prostate trouble, and I think you can talk to any nutritionist and find out it's pretty simple to prevent that from happening. That's like finding a smashed car and saying, wow, look at this bad design. Well, it got in a wreck, okay? So I think the design that we see is just very obvious in nature. I've had evolutionists tell me the eye is poorly designed because the blood vessels are in front. Well, we need them in front to block the UV light. I'd be glad to talk about that sometime. No, poor design is not proof of evolution.
One-third of men will develop prostate trouble. Why don't you give some evidence that shows that the layer of dust on the moon proves the moon is less than 10,000 years old?
I did not get